So good day, everyone. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another data section brought to you by UrBizEdge. So for today's section, we'll be having AI enhanced multiplayer data notebook on the canvas. And our special guests are Mark and Benedetto. Okay, so this session is brought to you by the collaboration between Enterprise DNA and MHS Analytics and also UrBizEdge. So for some of you that might be interested in taking data analytics classes in Canada, so we have a new sponsor, which is MHS Analytics. The main goal is basically helping helping clients using business intelligence edge to get to like use tools they already know how to use, things like Power BI, Excel, and also in financial modeling. So your BizEdge, while registered Excel consulting, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and also enterprise solution firm in Nigeria. We also specialize in helping companies and high-value professionals be on top of the business data. We're also the creator of some Nigerian finance tools, which you can find on Microsoft Office stores, such as the Nigerian Finance Market Analysis tool, and also the Nigerian Stock Analysis Dashboard. So also a training company in Lagos, Nigeria. We have branches in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. So the next training will be 4th of May. We'll be having business intelligence and dashboard using Microsoft Power BI. Also be having advanced financial modeler, that's the AFM, and also the mock exams. So our special guest, Mark and Benedetto. So for Benedetto, is the co-founder of Einblick in 2020 as a company. He's also the head of data science. He has a master's in data science from Brown University and has helped data science and analytics team harness the power of data in organizations such as the USDA, Covestro, BMW, and also Aegean Airlines. So for our other co-host, our other co-speaker actually is Mark. So he joined Einblick in 2021 as a new user to the platform. He has showcased his skill in data science and analytics, made easy, is more intuitive, collaborative, and also has accessibility. He leads their team development effort and love showcasing Einblick to you users. So I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over the section to you guys. So without further ado, over to you guys.
Cool. Thank you very much for the intro. Let me share my screen. I have a couple of slides, and then we can jump into a quick demo of the platform. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
can you see the slides? Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Really a pleasure to join you today. I want to introduce today to the audience our platform. The name of the platform is Einblick, and just to give a quick overview, it's a web-based data science platform that, as the title says, combines the aspects of data notebooks like Jupyter notebooks and collaborative canvases. So you will learn in a second what this means and how this could be helpful for your analytics needs. So first of all, a quick intro on the story of the platform. The company itself was funded by PhD students, professors, postdocs at Brown University and at MIT. The company was funded in 2020, so it's been like a little bit more than 3 years. And so there is a lot of research and development that went into the development of this platform. There are a lot of clients and users of the tool, but more recently we've been focusing more and more on our SaaS offering, and that means that each one of you, of the folks that are on the line, you can create an account even today or as I speak, because right now the platform is made accessible to anybody that can access the website with a web browser. The problem that Einblick is trying to solve in the data space is that data science is a creative process, right? So it includes a lot of different pieces, and it requires that different type of stakeholders participate to the business problem analysis in a really collaborative, enthusiastic way, right? So you could have a data scientist that works in Python. You can have like a product manager, product owner that might use mostly like PowerPoints, or like you have a data engineer that pulls data. So you have those different type of profiles that come into place when we speak about data. But the problem is that a lot of the coding is really focused on repetitive, mundane tasks, and it's pretty common for companies to be silent, right? And so you have those data scientists that kind of have their really niche understanding of what's going on in the business, and so this creates like a weakness point there, because you really want the whole team to participate to the analysis, and so this is the biggest problem. 1 on 5 results about data science, if you just Google it, they're actually about data science projects failing, right? And that's the main reason is because there's the tooling around data science is not there yet, right, to support all the stakeholders that need to happen. And so the reason, as you can see, the landscape is pretty fragmented. We have a combination of BI tools, database systems, dashboarding tools, emails, presentation. So everything, Slack, you can see also as a communication mean, Excel. There are a lot of different places where people look at, and it's kind of daunting to get an understanding of what's going on in big like data science projects. So the reason why we took a different approach to the data science design is that we really believe that data science itself requires the participation of all kinds of different stakeholders, right? And in particular, there are some of the biggest shortcoming of computational notebooks or data notebooks is that when you try to use a Jupyter notebook, what you find yourself doing is a lot of scrolling up and down in this really linear structure. And if you want to share it, is not that easy in terms of compatibility of the environment in which your notebook is running. And so what has been becoming more and more popular are those Canvas applications that kind of bring that single player mode, let's say, in a more collaborative environment. So you can see here, for example, an example of Einblick Canvas. I will dig into the details in a second, but you can see that it's a 2D unbounded canvas with a lot of different cells. So you will see during the demo that this is, your old Jupyter notebook type of cell. And so right now, instead of working on a linear flow or having to, when you share to with someone else, you need to give them all the packages that you use. What you can do is just access your environment from your web browser. You can lay out operators as you want, and then you can just share the canvas with a URL. So this is a little bit of more examples of how this can look like. You can use different modalities. This is really crucial to improve productivity of data scientists because there's not a single tool that can solve all the problems. So you probably want to use a little bit of SQL, a little bit of Python, and why not some no-code operators like for visualizations or AutoML to build predictive models or do data manipulation. So our platform really is designed from the start to finish with this idea of combining different modalities, right? Because we want to make sure that our users can use the appropriate tool at the right time without incurring any switching costs during the analysis process. So the data canvas itself allows essentially to leverage the whole real estate of your screen. So more data, more information on your screen, and you can jump around in a really quick, easy way. Notebooks, canvases are really easy to reproduce. The execution order is pretty straightforward. You will see in the demo that you have a cell that is followed by another cell, and you kind of have those type of flows that clearly define how the computation runs, right? And then lastly, the multi-threading part. This is something that you cannot easily do in notebooks. You can have like separate branches that allow you to do parallel explorations of different hypotheses, for example.
Benedetto, one question that I might actually that came to mind, I think maybe some of the folks in the audience might be having is what type of data can everyone use in Einblick?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So all kinds of data, really. Like the only limitation that I would say is that you need to use tabular data. And so if you satisfy that condition, then CSV file or like any relation database works with the platform. We have some built-in connectors to the most common database systems, but given that this is a full-fledged computational notebook, but in a 2D canvas, what you can do is just to import packages to install in the canvas, and then directly connect to your data source. So we have some pre-built functionality to connect to a lot of those database systems, but virtually you can essentially connect to anything as long as it's tabular. Cool. Yeah, we already covered this. Oh, and then the collaboration piece, I think, is one of the most interesting parts. This is really helpful in terms of disseminating, collaborating with folks. You can just invite your team members in a canvas by clicking on the share button, and I will show this during the demo. And then you can, the other people they are collaborating with you will receive an email saying, oh, you've been added to a canvas. And so from that point, they can collaborate in real time in this environment. And it's really easy, really seamless integration with video conferencing, and so that you can discuss your results directly over the canvas. Those are some of the pre-built no-code operators that I was talking about before. AutoML is a shortener for automated machine learning. Really takes care of building predictive models for our users. So it does the whole thing from pre-processing steps, model selection, hyperparameter tuning, assembles the whole pipeline, and then returns you full functioning inference pipeline that you can use either in the canvas or you can export. Key driver analysis operator is a data mining techniques that allows you to find differences between two set of populations, right? So that's really interesting if you want to, for example, find what are the traits that distinguish two groups from two populations, or even to, I've been using this a lot, for example, with models itself. So maybe you have a classification task, you want to understand why some of them, what are the differences between the samples that are correctly predicted and the one that are not correctly predicted. So you can use this type of breakdown, test and control to see find some of the interesting insight there. So in terms of some of the automation side of things, what you can do in the platform is to extend with your own operators. This is something that is still not rolled out, but is on the roadmap. So with your own operators, and functionality wise, this is still available by just writing code in the Python cell. And then something that is really interesting for the more advanced application is that you can schedule jobs. So once you're done with your analysis, you can use the canvas itself to schedule your jobs and set intervals, right? You can say, right, I am satisfied with my analysis. Those are all the steps that I care about. I want this pipeline to run every hour or every minute or every week, right? So this can be something that push data to a Power BI dashboard, for example, every week, so that you don't have to trigger this manually. So just in summary, if you're familiar with tools like Jupyter or collaborative environments like Miro or Figma, you can think of Einblick as a combination of those worlds, right? And it essentially uses and combines the computation capabilities of Jupyter notebooks and makes them more easy to access to your team members. At the same time, reduces the overhead of setting up an environment, removes ambiguity in the execution flow of Jupyter notebooks, and so on and so forth. Cool. So now I just want to jump into the demo. Let's stop maybe a second if there are any questions. Are there any questions, Mark?
No, none yet from the audience.
Cool. All right.
I think overall too, if you want to, it could be interesting if you want to compare at least verbally some of the status quo versus Einblick, or what it might look like in another tool typically, because I think there are a lot of awesome features, but kind of getting the why behind how they help people could be helpful as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I already covered those things before. First thing is the ease of access, right? Like you don't want to, in a Jupyter notebook, you don't want to, once you share a Jupyter notebook, you're essentially sharing a file, right? And then that file doesn't come with all the dependency that notebook uses. So you also want to share with your team members what's the environment that you're using. So that's one problem that kind of slows down a lot collaboration inside of notebooks. And this is kind of solved by design because it's a web-based application, as you can see. And you can just share your URL with other team members. The second thing is that Jupyter notebooks are kind of confusing in terms of the execution model. You have one cell after the other, but then you can move the things around, and that creates a lot of confusion. I saw a lot of project derailing just because the notebooks become too big, and it's really hard to maintain a clear status of what's going on, and it can lead to really wrong outcome in the output, just because maybe a variable was redefined somewhere else, and then you didn't reset your notebook, or you were not clear in the execution sequence. And then the last part is the collaboration aspect. You can see, for example, Mark, it's inside of my canvas. It's a really intuitive collaboration experience that you have on the tool. And right now I'm tracking what Mark is doing. You can see Mark is this icon here, and if Mark moves around the canvas, I will move with him directly over the canvas and follow him essentially. Cool. No other questions, Mark, so far?
None other than that.
Cool. Okay, so I want to just show you how Einblick canvas looks like. And so pretty straightforward. There's an unbounded 2D canvas. You can zoom in, zoom out. On the left, you have some of your data sources, and you can lay out different operators. So for this demo, I kind of already laid out some of the analysis workflow, just because I want to make sure that you already can see what's going to happen in the canvas. So I'm going to use some sales data, and this sales data is data that comes from customers of a large automotive company. Maybe it's like sales data of cars essentially, and renewals of leases on those cars. So the first thing that I want you to notice is that how you can have separate branches, the kind of quote unquote multi-threading part. So I can have a flow here on the left and another flow here on the right, and this is something that right after the start you cannot do so clearly in Jupyter notebooks, right? The second thing is that I will show you how I can combine different languages in the same environment. This is a SQL query, and I will write Python code in those other cells, right? So that's the second point. You can use multiple tools and techniques in the same canvas at the same time. And then third, I want to show you like a little bit of the collaboration aspect. So let's start here with this left branch. You can see that there is a really simple select star public sales export June from a Snowflake database, right? Pretty straightforward. You can connect to your Snowflake database directly from the canvas, and it's pretty easy to pull data. Once you wrote your query, you can hit play, and then the whole data will come out.
There we go. Oh, a question that came in talking about sharing the URL. The person asked me about what about security in the situation where someone can get access to that? Can someone else get access to that URL and say use the notebook or do something, mess up your analysis?
Yeah, so you can decide which type of access people can have to your canvas. So if you want to share to any Einblick user, then you can just decide what's the access to that canvas. If you want to just restrict it to people with email addresses, you can just use their email address. So just them will be able to get access to your analysis. And also for those people, you can decide if they have view access or edit access, right? Really important. So not at any point you will find yourself that someone that you didn't want to have access will have access to the canvas, just because by design that you are the one in control that decides who has access to the canvas. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, really important point in terms of edit and view credentials to manipulate the canvas. Cool. So here I'm pulling the data for the folks on the line. This is really standard data. Every row is a customer. We have different information about the columns, if they're employed, their credit score, lease length, and then some other information if they accepted or not the promotion of renewing their lease on their car. One thing that you can notice is that those cells that I have around can be moved around. If I want, I can delete those cells, right? So that's how kind of you work with the canvas. You can delete cells. If you want to use this data, there's a circle in the bottom left that kind of indicates the output of this cell here. So as you can see, this is kind of interesting. There's a plus button here, and this because this is pulling data, so there's no input. This is a root cell. So what I'm going to do is to pull the data out, and what you can see is, again, the same data that we pulled from before. But now what we can do is to use kind of some of the shortcuts to do the data exploration. Maybe I'm interested in the age, right? I want to see what's the age distribution of my clients. So I can just drag and drop this over the canvas. So the first thing that I noticed by doing this is that there are some people that are 7,000 years old, right? If I over on top of this, you can see actually it's just one person, but it seems that there's a little bit of people that have some funky age. And so this is already a problem that I want to solve in the canvas. Like there are people that shouldn't be there, or there are issues in the data, and I want to clean up this data. What else? If I use, for example, the table itself, if I quickly scroll, I can see that some of the entries have empty null values, right? I can drag out also this categorical attribute, and I can see the breakdown. What's the degrees that my customer obtained. I can kind of modify this chart by, for example, selecting, I don't know, I want to sort in descending order so that I know what's the most popular degrees of my clients. Cool. So this is just for quick data exploration. I can also use visualizations to kind of filter out the data. So for example, I can use this visualization to filter this other visualization. This kind of a neat functionality because it allows me to quickly check different set of people's different set of groups. But other than that, what I was interested in is to go a little on the coding part. So what we saw here is that, let me clear this selection, is that there are some folks that are 7,000 years old, and we want to remove those folks. Just because my goal is maybe to build a predictive model that tells me who's going to accept or not my promotion for renewing the lease. So what I'm going to do is to take this data, so you can see the data streams from here to here, is to take this output and provide this as an input to this other cell. So this cell is a Python cell. And so what this will do is to run Python code for me. So I have saved this snippet here. So I'm just going to copy it for the sake of time and copy it here on the cell. So for the folks on the line that are familiar with pandas and its syntax, you can see that this is a pretty standard filter operation that we are doing on the data frame. We are filtering out folks, as we said before, that are above 120 years old. We are filtering out people that also have other weird results there, and we are filling the null values with 0. Pretty straightforward, pretty intuitive operation that we're doing here. So if I hit play and run save changes, you can see that now this input data frame was processed by this cell, and now it's available as an output, right? I also use the describe function to kind of double check what's going on here. So if I go to the age column, I want to make sure that the max value is below 120, and that's exactly what I got here. So now the maximum value is 87, which is pretty good, right? Is exactly what I wanted. Same thing for credit score, right? We didn't check this.
Benedetto,
Is there a question? Yeah.
I think that'd be a good. I think this is a good opportunity too to ask one of the questions that came in around how do folks get data into the platform.
Oh, that's a good point. So one way is I showed before at the beginning, right? You can write a SQL statement once you connect to. Let me show you this a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, I think,
so this is
really too. Obviously, CSVs are always very popular as well.
Yeah. So those are some of the connectors that you can use. Once you're here, you can just use your credential to access the connector, and then once you're there, you can pull data using SQL. If you have a CSV file, what you can do is to click on plus and select create new data set, and then you can do a quick file upload, and this will allow you to update a CSV file pretty much. So you click here, and then once you select the file, it will appear here on the left. So you can see this data set, promotion place transaction.csv. And then if you want to start exploring it, you can do something like this and start playing as I'm doing right now.
Exactly. I really like the platform for just exploring some different CSVs, doing some quick analysis, and getting an idea of like what my data can show me before going into any robust analysis, we'll say.
Yeah. So for example, this data set here that we're using on the right is actually a CSV file, and I'm going to use it later on. It's using a CSV file, some simple data manipulation, and then I will use it to join those two tables, right? I'm going to use the output of this left flow be joined with the right flow, pretty much. Cool. Yeah, so just to keep going here, we clean up the data. There's one last thing that we might want to check is exactly now. It's a good point, is that if we want to join those two data sets, we can see that on the left side, we have this network dealer column. Let me show you in a second, which is a combination of the network ID in terms of the dealership ID and the dealer ID. So the dealership for the car, right? So there are two numbers. However, on this right data set, it's just about dealerships. It doesn't have any information about the network. So we just have the dealer ID. So what we need to do is also do some data manipulation such that we have a separate dealer ID and network ID on the left side, so that we can use this column to join the two tables, right? And also in this case, we can use pretty straightforward code. Again, this is pandas syntax. And what I did is to introduce a really, really small error in the data to show you some of the newest features of the platform. So let's try to run. And we are getting an error, right? Exactly. So if you find yourself working in Einblick and having like issues, what you can do is to use the AI assistant, and that's why we call this talk AI enhanced notebooks. because at every time in the platform, you can always kind of call the AI assistant to kind of generate code, to fix code, or to explain code. So in this case, I'm gonna just click fix. It's gonna be a really simple one. And once the notebook is gonna take this the code for me, you will see that it just added a bracket here on the right. So now I can run this again, and now it's running. You can see here that we split this column by using the dash symbol, and now we have two columns, that it's network ID and dealer ID, which is exactly what we wanted. So now I can go on the join operator. In here is pretty straightforward. You have upstream data on the left, upstream data from the right. This is going to be an inner join, and you can just run this, and the output of this column of this join will be this data set here. So now we started from two separate data sets. Now we have just one single data set. Let's say that I'm interested in the analysis, and I want to maybe I'm ready to build a model, right? Let's say that I'm ready to build a model, and I want to share it with some people on my team. Let's say that I want to share it with Mark. So I can go here. Mark has already been added to the canvas, but now you can see that I can say, oh, I want to give added access to Mark. Now Mark is in the canvas. What I can do is to maybe go live. Switch to the MacBook camera. Oh, I'm gonna go live here. Mute myself in the canvas. So
There you go.
you can see that now Mark and I are together in the canvas. I can move things around. If Mark moves things around, it's pretty straightforward in terms of collaboration. Let's say that Mark is my manager, and I want to ask some questions about the data and how I process the data. We can have a conversation about, let's say I want to build a predictive model, and then you can provide me guidance on this, right? I can provide the train data, and then I can ask, for example, maybe Mark knows more about the data. I'm just maybe analyzing the data. I have some questions. I can say, I know that we want to predict if people accept it or not, but which feature should I use, right?
Yeah. I can leave notes for Benedetto as well in the canvas. Say if we're unable to talk at the exact same time and stuff like that, or even too if you're doing like coursework between two students or a professor and a student trying to do some analysis, it works out well. We have a lot of academics and students using the platform too.
Yeah, exactly, and it goes back to the slides that we presented at the beginning, right? You don't want people to get stuck in silos. You want people to be able to discuss about data. For example, in this data set, there's a big issue with the data itself. So if we naively select all the features and we start training a model, you will see that the results are really, really dangerous. So the model will perform really, really well, but there is a big problem that just a domain expert will know what's going on. For example, here you see every circle is a model, and the first model after 3 seconds is 100% accurate, right? And so by talking with Mark, maybe it's my manager, I can ask, like which feature makes sense to use or not, right? And we can have a conversation. For example, there's this apply the line or apply the dealership that actually leakage information, because this is information that it's acquired once the person accepted already the promotion, so you don't want to use that information. You can see the breakdown that Mark just produced here of the accepted column. So what I can do now, I just deselected those two attributes, based on a hypothetical conversation with him, and then I can rerun this on the fly. And so this is really the point of removing any friction to the collaboration aspects of this analysis. Once this collaboration is effective, the productivity improves because you don't deploy wrong models, and you make sure that things make sense for everybody. And also, the nice thing is that once you have those models, you can use some of the explainability features of the platform to kind of discuss results together. Sorry. So this pipeline that I built here is 86% accurate. This is the validation breakdown in terms of the train test split, the steps. And that's what I was saying before: pre-processing, imputation, scaling, model selection. In this case, X gradient boosting. Yeah, I didn't have to do anything, right? The model just built this for me. And if I want to understand what's going on here, I can select the explainer functionality that can give me more insights on the data, and I can use the executor to kind of make predictions on a new data set. So I can switch this input data set and use the executor to kind of get the inference column, right? That in this case would be predicted accepted. Cool. I think I have one last thing that I want to share with you folks, and it's part of our latest efforts in integration with large language models, AI assistants, and if you it's the first time that you hear about Einblick, I want to make sure that you know that if you go on our website, Einblick.ai, you can join. First of all, you can create an account for free. So it's really easy. It takes 30 seconds to create an account, and we have a pretty generous premium tier. The second thing is we have a wait list for getting access to the latest feature on terms of AI assistant. This is what I'm going to show you. Is just one of the features that we're gonna you will be able to use. This is already available. And the new AI assistant will be able to actually have a conversation with you in the canvas. So all the things that I showed you before will now be able, it will be able to, you will be able to generate this just by having a conversation with the canvas itself, which is context aware, and so we'll know what you're trying to do, and we'll build things just based on what you wrote. But I want to give you a quick preview about this. Let's say that I want to write some code. I'm not really sure how to do it. Let's say that I want to have a starting point. Let's put it this way. So what I can do is say, instead of using AutoML for whatever reason, what I want to do is I want you to build a random forest classifier that predicts the accepted column. So that's what we were trying to do before, building a binary classification algorithm. But this time we want to pre-process the education level. Sorry, let me move this level column using, I don't know, TF, IDF, let's say something like this. So the nice thing about this is that a lot of time people know what they're looking for. They kind of have an idea what they're looking for, and there's this kind of blank page issue where you don't know where to start from. So having something like this can help a lot just getting started. So I can just verbally describe what I want, and then the AI assistant will be able to give me a first draft of what's going on. So some stuff will necessarily need to be changed. So for example, this already is something that we don't need, right? Because the data is already here. So and it's called df final. So anytime that df it's written df somewhere, you can just replace this df final, df final. In this case, for example, is not doing a train test split, so probably something that I want to talk again with the AI assistant. I want to add something to my prompt, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, this is something that is super helpful because it allows you to have a first draft, and then by looking at the code, it's easier to check a result than generate a new result, right? And this kind of, the first version is of the V1 of our agent. And as I said, if you're interested in those functionalities, create an account and then join the waitlist, such that as soon as it's out, you will be the first one being able to use it. Cool. Are there any questions about the demo that I just showed? I'm kind
no,
of covered
no other additional
most of the
questions,
things.
but I'll add
Sure.
the URL into the chat if anyone wants to check it out.
Cool. Yes, thank you. Let me stop here, and let's open the stage for questions or like a discussion. Like this was kind of the overview that I wanted to give of the platform.
Okay. Amazing, amazing. Okay, okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So thank you very much. Like I'm just seeing so many possibilities right now. Like so many possibilities. So if you have any question, you can raise your hands up so I can make you speaker. I know
Yeah.
okay. Okay, someone's asking a question in the chat box. Mark, do you want to read that?
Yeah. So one of the questions is just around is there a demo environment that people can practice on and utilize themselves?
Answer the question.
Yeah.
Go
So I
ahead,
think
Mike.
to answer that, actually, I'll even show right away. Let me just make sure. Command. Oh, there we go. So to actually give an idea of how you can do that, if you go on to display window, there we go. I just opened up a new incognito window. You should be looking at it.
Yeah, I can say it.
Yep, perfect. So if you just go to our website, einblick.ai, and click sign up,
Yeah.
everything. The platform itself is free for all light use, and pretty much unless you become a very active user of the platform, it's entirely free to use. And you can simply make an account with either a Google sign in or use an email and a password. And everything Benedetto showed you have access to right away and immediately.
Yeah. Takes 30 seconds, literally. So.
Okay. So I can see someone else is also up. So I think that's LA or something. LA, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and
Yes.
clear.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting stuff. And like the host rightly said that there is much possibilities that's achievable with this new tool. Yeah, so the question is, can this tool handle version controlling? Can it be commit and pushed onto GitHub or any repository? Then the second question is, there is a workflow of, there is input, then you have output to another black box that you want to run. Can we have it generate all the code along all the desired workflow?
Okay. Yeah, really good question. So I will start with the version control one. So version control in a strict sense, as you described, is not available. It's something that we're working on because it's probably our top one feature requested by our users, the ability to commit their work. So that's something that we're working on. Still, you have the ability to, as you said, as you saw, to copy a canvas, fork a canvas, share the canvas. So I would say that the collaboration and credential access style of the canvas is more similar to Google Docs than a strict GitHub for repository, for example. But it's something that we are working in towards. It's something that is on our roadmap and definitely interesting for us. The second point was what was the second question?
Yeah, so for every workflow you generate,
Oh yeah. Okay, workflows.
Yeah.
So the AI assistant that you saw right now is just limited to a single cell, right? And that's already pretty powerful, as you said, as I give a demo. What you can do in the next versions that we're working on is to describe the whole workflow that you want the system to generate. Let's say that you want to say something, okay, I have my data XY, right? And I want steps A, B, C, D, A, whatever, right? So what will happen is that you will have chat, a chat box where you can interact with the agent and describe the workflow that you want. So, for example, if you're going to describe use data X to do A, B, and then use data Y to do something else, and then join the data, essentially the system is aware of your data. It's aware of what is possible in the canvas, and will kind of use those building blocks to build the flow for you. So the main benefit of this is not only that it saves you time, but also it dramatically reduces the learning curve, right? Because what happens is that you can log into the platform. If you don't know how to do something, you can just describe it, and then you will get something back, right? So not available yet. If you're interested in that such functionality, definitely join the wait list. I would say that we are kind of approaching to the release of a beta version. So definitely join the wait list. Is not and you know, you'll be the first one to get updates about it.
And I think
Great, great.
I think
Thanks.
LA, some of your, I think you part of your question was it around how you can take, if you do something in Einblick, can you export it elsewhere or use it elsewhere?
Yeah, so I think Benedetto has you know explained given an explanation of what what my question is.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is, in essence, is let's say you know how you write code line by line. Do you get? So this you've actually written the code cell by cell. Do you get? And as I rightly explained, that you can select the blocks of what you want to be in your, you know, in your line of code. You know, when you're using, let's say, a VS Code, you're using VS Code, for example, you write, let's say, you import the libraries you want to use, you pass in the data, you utilize data for another thing, then you move on to line by line like that.
Yep.
So the question is, can you generate a line of codes like that using the workflow?
Hmm. So you mean maybe let me play this back. So you're asking if you can just write code without using like a single big block? Is that what you're uh trying to do with the like you want almost like a single file thing where you can write all the code in one single cell without having different blocks?
Okay. So
Can I come in?
yeah,
Sorry,
comment,
can I
please.
comment? Okay, so I think what he's trying to say is like, you know that InBlink has a lot of cells, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, now you have like can I just share my screen and show you what's trying to
Yeah,
say? Okay,
yeah. Go
so
ahead.
okay, so let's assume. I hope you guys can see my screen, right? I'm on a white
It's
screen.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still
white.
loading.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
So
white. Yep,
like
yep,
white.
yep.
there's a cell. There's a cell, right? So
Yeah,
another one comes here. Let's say another one is here and another one is here, right?
yeah.
So this another cell here and this another cell here. So this another cell here and this another cell. So what it means is that, okay, when I'm running my code, you know that now there are multiple cells, but I want it to go through this part here. That's this part on green now. I want to go through this part here, only this part. So it shouldn't go like that. Now they're splitted in multiple places. So it shouldn't go through this. It should only go through like the way what do you call it, like the way VS Code runs now. So you can select the part, the flow you want it to go through.
Oh, I see, I see. Yeah, you can just execute it. So you just go on the left path, and then you can execute from the bottom of that thing, and of the right of the left flow, for example, and then it's like run flow, and then it will just execute the left part. So the right part is not executed. Yeah.
Ellie, was that your was that able to answer it to an extent? Was that a
Yeah,
question
yeah,
actually?
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Temidayo. That's exactly what I mean.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's say you're taking the left flow, for example, and you run the left flow. Can you have all the code generated as single block of code to get?
I understand now. Yeah. So in terms of saying like taking the Einblick layout and applying that directly to just, I don't know, translate it into directly into code, that in itself is not possible at the moment. you can take certain cells, or you can take like the output of that and say like download a CSV worth of data, or write it back to a database. Or even with AutoML, if you build a machine learning model, you can take the Python code, but that's just of the AutoML, or sorry, just of the model itself that it gives you back. But unfortunately, the entire workflow itself, that cannot be translated and then applied elsewhere, since it's a combination of like open source Python and then Einblick functionality. So that different modality doesn't. We've tried it before, but trying to export it onto something like VS Code, it doesn't translate very well. So hence we've been unable to offer that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't think we should accept any question for now, because it's like going. So the last two questions were so for the both of you, how you started your own. I think I told Benedetto earlier. Okay, how you started your own data journey. That's your data science journey, and also what advice you have for people just starting out in the field of data. Because we have some professionals, we have some beginners here. So what advice you have for people, young data professionals, and also how you started your own data journey.
So my personal journey just started at the university. Like I studied data science, and then I kept working in the field for like grad school, and then of course like by founding the company. So it was kind of part of my education journey. Let's put it this way. And back in the days in Italy, actually, I was in the first court for the data science master. So it was a pretty new branch back in the days, of course, in the like, let's put it this way, like mainstream education. So for me, it was always exciting because for data science, if you like things that are at the intersection between technical stuff, but also all other like domain expertise, like data science is perfect because it's such a versatile tool that you can apply to anything, right? So that was what attracted me the most. What I found super helpful, especially at the beginning, is it's two things, and you know it's really personal. So there might be the other people prefer other ways of doing this. So the first thing is just to get hands-on projects, right? Like simple stuff. There are so many tutorials online, and now with large language models like ChatGPT, you essentially have almost like a free consultant every time. It's not perfect. A lot of times just say wrong stuff. So always double check. But for the basic stuff, and it's pretty good. So if you get stuck, it's super helpful. And yeah, I would just start with simple projects and get your hands dirty. And then once you do that, try to understand as much as possible, like the fundamentals. I think you can do a lot of damage without understanding the fundamentals. You can come up with the stuff that looks really nice, but then don't it is not really nice, and then you don't want to find out when it's too late. So understanding the fundamentals, it's kind of important, but it's not as exciting, I would say, as getting your hands dirty. That's a personal, again, statement. So just start with something that gets you excited, but then don't forget about actually try to understand the abstract concept that are behind what you're doing. I don't know, Mark, if you want to add something.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've seen when folks come talk to us, and even with uses of the platform as well, is just taking if someone takes like a boot camp, for example, or goes a more formal route with education, is taking that and applying it. So things like, I don't know, as Benedetto said, with getting your hands dirty, things like Kaggle competitions and Kaggle workflows, and just building out a repository of work on GitHub to showcase like, hey, this is what I can do, and this is some of the insights I found from. There's so many cool data sets in the world out there that governments publish, companies publish, and just saying like, hey, these are some interesting things that I found in some workflows or some work that I've done, just to showcase your capabilities, really. And I think that gives a lot of people a leg up, in addition to having some sort of certificate or boot camp or a diploma.
And also, I think it's important, like, to distinguish like your specialization, right? Like if you're more interested in the BI aspects of because data science means a lot of stuff, right? So you could put in the data science umbrella a lot of different things. So it's really important that you actually understand that there are different job profiles under that umbrella, right? A data scientist in a company could do one thing, and a data scientist in another company could do other things. There is maybe in a company a data scientist that behaves more like a machine learning engineer, and then in another company is more similar to a BI analyst. So just keep in mind, really, don't use words as like given, right? Always try to think and associate concept or like tools and techniques that are using to actually like job functions that you really want to do, right? So if you like the data exploration aspects of things, you want to dig into the data to find business inside, then there are some certain things that you should do. If you're more interested in the algorithmic side of things, making predictions, so on and so forth, then maybe you're more an ML engineer. So just keep in mind and don't always dig into the meaning of the words, because it's such an inflated and full of buzzword field that it can be misleading a lot of time.
Wow, that's really a lot. That's really a lot. Okay, I think we are closing very soon. So if no other question, I'll just say thank you to our special guest. Thank you very, very much. And you guys are not our invitation and everything. It's really, really awesome. And also the you guys software is amazing. Like I'm just thinking of so many possibilities right now, like so many possibilities right now. So I would say thank you very much for what you do in the community and also for your software. And I'll say bye, everyone. Also, the recording will be made available on the YouTube channel, so you can check the chat box. So before the end of tomorrow, it should be made available. And also, everyone, do have a lovely week ahead. Bye, everyone. Bye, guys. I'll stop recording right about now. So bye.
Thank you, Benedetto, for everything.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks
Thank
a
you everyone
lot.
for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.